I could save time in a bottle, the first thing that I'd like to do is to save every day till eternity passes away, just to spend them with you. If I could make days last forever, if words could make wishes come true, I'd save every day like a treasure, and then again I would spend them with you. But there never seems to be enough time to do the things you want to do once you find them. I've looked around enough to know you're the one I want to go through time with.
The love of Christ be with you all. Jim Croce's Time in a Bottle sets the tone for my reflection with you today. A song which I recalled when reading words from the Gospel of John attributed to Jesus for this 5th weekend in Lent. And those words attributed to Jesus in John's Gospel are these: the time has come. Time? Time for what? Well, ostensibly, Jesus was alluding to the time of his own death, or at least the intimation that when one follows in the way of truth and love and justice, as Jesus did, it will threaten your life. So live like every moment matters, because it does. While John's Gospel indicates that Jesus spoke of his death as something to be glorified, a horrible euphemism to my mind when referring to one's own death, it was also a profound indication of what it means to be acutely aware, as Jesus evidently was, of the meaning of time, how we use it, and whether we recognize those moments or not, which are right for an idea whose time has come. Of course, we can't pack away time, as the song suggests, putting it in a bottle in order to pull it out however and whenever we want or need. We can't guarantee how much time any of us will have on this earth, even after we schedule and plan all the time we think we're going to have on this earth. Nothing wrong with having plans for our lives. It's just that it can't compare to the control that time has on our lives. Do you know what a tesseract is? In science, specifically geometry, a tesseract describes and measures the dimensions of a square or cube. Now, this is my layman's description here, but the tesseract points out the complexity of the cube, not only as having 6 surfaces, but 8 points on the cube, of which the tesseract comprises one of those sides with its 4 points. What's my point with all of these points? Well, what appears to us as just a cube, with its clearly laid out symmetry, is also a complex set of dimensions that, for all its mathematical predictability, there are added nuances. So playing off of this concept, writers like Madeleine L'Engle creatively applied these same principles of tesseract to time, and playfully, through her fantasy novel entitled A Wrinkle in Time, suggested how our approach to time can reveal our attitudes toward life. For L'Engle, a tesseract is a wrinkle or a doorway in the space-time continuum, enabling the chance to travel through time, which of course is laughed away by science, but not so much by our imaginations. I want to suggest to you today that Jesus' invocation, "The time has come," was and is a tesseract, a wrinkle in time, a doorway into our perception of life and time heightened by the wrinkle of death itself. The dominant Roman and Hellenistic cultures of Jesus' day were cultures preoccupied, as we are in our Western society today, with chronos time, the derivation for the word chronology, or the passing of time. Chronos is linear, symmetrical, measurable. But those same ancient cultures also recognized another dimension of time, a wrinkle in time, that while less popular and often dismissed as too mystical, was known as kairos time, which is the recognition of time not just passing, but as a crucial moment in time. In contrast to its cousin, chronos, kairos is more circular, spatial, and not measurable. There is little doubt in my mind that while Jesus was fully immersed and committed to the perimeters of this life, he was also keenly conscious that what gave chronos time any meaning was the kairos wrinkle of those ticking moments in life. Kairos is a wrinkle in time because it is not about how long we live, but about how well we live. It's not merely quantitative, but it's also about being qualitative. Regardless of when we will die, we still know we will die. And the question which kairos time asks is this: how will we use our time? Martin Luther King Jr. had a sense that his life would not last long, that he would not grow old before he died. I might not get there with you, he preached on the eve of his assassination. But mine eyes have seen the coming of the glory of the Lord. King, like Jesus, was living in kairos time. And so can we. So we must. Once we've seen what it means to live, we are more prepared to die. We may not want to die. It may even scare us. Because if we had a choice, we'd just as soon let this cup pass from us, right? But we can't sacrifice living right for living long. It can't even be sacrifice if it is living only for ourselves. Sacrifice only understands what it means to live when it is for others. Now my soul is troubled, says Jesus in John. And what should I say? Save me from this time? No. It is for this reason that I have come to this time. Jesus' sense of foreboding of what was coming in his life was not a curse for self-destruction. It was the kairos of self-awareness. These sayings of Jesus were the clarity of a person who knew that what you live for is what you die for. And the way of love and justice for which Jesus desired to live threatened to expedite his death. A moment in time brings about this kind of clarity. But ironically, for many of us, this wrinkle can be a stumbling block instead of a passageway. Why a stumbling block? Well, to see that Jesus was in every way like you and me can frighten the hell out of some of us. Because if this is true, then we might be expected to live as fully into our humanity as Jesus did his. And look what happened to Jesus. This notion of a deeply human Jesus who was tempted and tried like we are, and even subject to death like you and me, was not something tolerated by some of the earliest followers of Jesus. Peter's rejection of Jesus, even mentioning the word death, represented an entire movement within the early church in the 2nd century who claimed that Jesus only appeared to be human, but wasn't really human. This impulse to airbrush Jesus' humanity remains with us today. Jesus is a tesseract, a wrinkle not only in time, but a wrinkle in our all too codified, prescribed, indoctrinated theologies, turning our worlds upside down, and in doing so, opening a window, a passageway into what we are called to be when living into our moments in time. I heard a physics lecturer describe one time time as being this: the thing which stops everything from happening at once. I suspect the professor was trying to simply make a technical point, but I couldn't help but hear it as beautifully poetic. It is easy to feel as though we never have enough time. Or, for some, especially during this pandemic, it is the discovery that we are not equipped to respond to all the time that is on our hands. There is a Buddhist teaching which states the following: today is today. Today is not tomorrow. Today is not yesterday. Today is today. And then it ends this way. That is all. How will we use our time today? Does anybody know what time it is? No matter what the clock on the wall or calendar indicates, it is always Kairos time, encroached in that Chronos time, a moment in time, a time whose idea for living into truth and love has come.
As I was walking down the street one day, a man came up to me and asked me what the time was that was on my watch. Yeah, I said, does anybody really know what time it is?